Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocketradio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
And a good morning to you. It is time for Coffee Ann here on ONAM and FM. Thanks for joining us on Wednesday morning. It's August 21st. I'm Joe Callahan. Around the Coffee Ann table, we'll say good morning to Tim Draper from Navigant Credit Union.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, everyone.
Tim. And Melissa Smith making a return here from the San Antonio community.
Everyone. I know, right? I feel like it's been a minute.
It's been
a minute.
a whole
It's been a minute. You've been entertained by Robin, I think, for the last
she's
couple
done a great
weeks.
job, Phil.
So.
Yeah. Funniest thing happened last week when you weren't here, because we were talking about there was something in the news, some kind of violent confrontation between a husband and wife. And,
oh boy.
And Tim said, trying to be humorous.
I was just trying to make a point.
And Tim said, well, maybe she brought it upon herself.
Oh, I did not say it that way. No, hold on. I did not say it that way. I said you didn't know the circumstances around why he got provoked.
That's right.
Yes, it's exactly what she did.
She took a step back.
She did. She did a deep breath. She took a deep breath.
It was pretty
So
funny.
I apologize to Robin if I offended her in any way.
I don't think you would have
shape, or form,
expected any different reaction from me.
You would have
to be
done the same
honest.
thing. But I didn't say it exactly like Joe
not the way
said
I
it.
put it.
He
but
paraphrased it. But I
paraphrase,
did open mouth insert foot.
That's
so.
right. It was so it was pretty funny.
Thanks for bringing it back up, Joe, and reminding me of it all over again.
What do you mean it's her fault?
Oh my God! Well, you got a little taste of her energy at our golf tournament on Monday.
Yeah,
but
she busted my chops on the 15th hole. I'm like, wow.
Why'd you miss?
Yeah, I did by a lot. Well, first of all, I tried to kill her because my shot was errant and it went that way.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Literally.
She goes, who hit that ball? I went.
Well, it's not my
I smiled. I waved and smiled. I did.
I'll roll this into my message so we're not wasting time. I really was just simply going to say thank you so much to all the golfers like Tim and others and sponsors like Navigant and others for coming out on Monday. What was supposed to be a really tremendously dreary and dismal day with threats of lightning and thunder all day long turned out to be a pretty awesome day.
Yep.
Maybe better because it wasn't blazingly hot, which
humid,
it's been in the past for us. It's a tricky date every year. We have this locked date. We're 5 years ahead always in our contract with Kirkbride. And I have to say, I was very concerned right up to the minute for golfers coming in because they could have canceled it at any point, and thank God they didn't. But we've had some really hot days, but I've never had the threat of weather like this. We've been out on the course, and we've had weather come in and had to come off for a little bit and then go back out. So it ended up being a great day, and the golfers were happy. No one got sunburned. No, I think it was actually a comfortable temperature. But anyway, so going back to Robin, I just have to say she is new to the golf tournament. This was her first time ever going to a golf tournament, probably even putting her toe on a golf course.
Oh, all right.
But she showed up with these paddles with all of these insulting remarks on them. So as golfers took their swing, she, would hold basically a rating system of different commentary up.
She didn't do that to me.
She didn't.
She was at the hole. So we teed off and we're at the hole. So she was probably had done it at the
What I think was refreshing is I'm notorious for being like that, and I normally bring some silly games, water guns. I've done lots of different props in the past. I'm injured. I was not going to have the same active role, and she showed up prepared to entertain, and it was a lot of fun the whole day, times 10 other stories, which I won't bore you with, but more or less my message is thank you to everybody for coming out and participating, and if you have any interest in coming back next year, it's always a good time. Tim can attest. The food's great. Obviously, the course is beautiful. And it supports a good cause.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And this year, all the proceeds went to Primrose Lane, our new memory care assisted living unit, which I would be more than happy to tell you about my second message.
All right, very good. You did mention that and why Robin was here yesterday. I don't know how much you want to talk about it,
last weekend.
Melissa, but Melissa's in a boot.
Oh, yeah.
And so
let's violate HIPAA. Let's go.
Violate all the HIPAA laws. So yeah.
If it's me telling it about myself, I guess let's see. How can I spin this into a positive?
Were you jogging? Because you're a jogging
Make
person.
it sound really dramatic, like something happened big. It was like, oh my God.
My husband and I engaged in an argument.
We were practicing our kickboxing and ultimate fighting. And
I'm pretty sure every golfer I encountered on Monday who knows me well, and some even know my husband, they're like, so did you kick him? Like what? That's like the first
Poor Nick sitting
comment.
there going, "I didn't get
No. I'd like to say, like, I really hate ever being in the spotlight, which I know is probably a surprise to you because I'm on this show and we engage and we have a silly, but I really have always been that person that, like, hates being in front of others at showers or whatever, opening gifts in front. I just don't like attention. So this is hard to not have people notice that you have something wrong with you.
You're limping. and we
I
can tell.
am. I've got a big moon boot. So yeah,
Very attractive. Though.
I'm
Nice
going
and
to
black
turn
and
this
skin
into a
tone.
public service announcement about
right.
my story, and I'll see if I can make it pretty quick. So I am a runner. I've been struggling since December, having some issues with my my foot and some ankle issues. Been seeing an orthopedic. I've had a few cortisone shots, so I'm aware that I have an ankle issue.
Okay.
Ironically, it's been feeling really good the last few weeks, and I have not started running. I've just been actively, 4 or 5 miles a day, like just trying to get back to cardio workout. Thursday, I was at work. I was running around all day getting ready for the golf tournament. I was in heels and a dress, whatever, and was running late for my daughter's basketball game. And if anybody's ever been to Johnston Rec Center, I don't know if you've ever been there or not. There's two ways into it.
Okay.
There's a paved way in, and those spots are always taken. And
Right.
as I mentioned, I was already running about 10 minutes late, so everyone's already in the game. So I had to park in the back lot. The back lot is kind of like a very fine pebbly gravel, whatever, walking path all the way into the building. In heels, going to remind you, but for the girls listening, they were wedge heels, not like spike heels. So I thought nothing wrong
Okay.
with walking across gravel
Wedgies.
in
Yeah.
wedge heels. It's not like it was a spike heel. There was no, in my mind, risk of having anything that happened to
Right.
me like it did. Anyways, walking in and I popped my ankle out. And that's been my issue since December is it just kind of pops in and out. And I've been told that I had kind of a strained ligament. Well, ultimately what I did was I popped my ligament. I ruptured it. And then it runs along the bottom of my foot to my ankle. And then I ruptured another ligament that went up from my ankle to my calf. So the support is just not there for my ankle. And so this is the PSA part of it. I mistakenly said, tough woman, tough mom. I got to take care of myself. Let me go get this checked out. And I went in my car and drove myself to a walk-in clinic, but ended up, the pain was so bad, I ended up blacking out at the wheel.
Wow.
Oh.
So I'm just sharing with other people who think they're equally as strong as me, specifically tough moms out there who've given birth and put
Oh,
all
yeah.
of their injuries to the side to care
Yeah.
for their kids. Like I feel like all I do is push through. You push through every day. You show up every day. I'm not one of those people that gets a sniffle and stays home. So this was a real wake up call for me.
Yeah.
And the EMTs were great, and they said, well, obviously, I guess it's one of the most painful injuries you can have, even more so than a break, is to have a ligament rupture.
Wow.
So now I know that. But we actually had a golfer on Monday, not rupture a ligament, but was in a tremendous amount of pain, just for like an arthritic issue. Was driving them back to their car in the middle of the day, and I said, I'm not sure you should drive. And they're like, I'll be fine. And I quickly shared, I'm like, can I drive you somewhere? And they second guessed themselves and end up calling someone to pick them up. So I'm just sharing for the record, never thought in a million years that can happen with severe enough pain, but it obviously can. So
Was your car damaged? Were you damaged?
yes, so the good news is no one was in my car and I didn't hit anybody. So I just want
Good.
to share that for the record. I was in the process of pulling over because I had a wave.
Wave of pain.
It went from pain to I felt like a little bit lightheaded.
Okay.
So I put my blinker on and started to pull over. My husband was on the phone with me, unfortunately.
Oh, boy.
And that's when it happened. So I was already slowing down to about 20 miles an hour. And then I rolled through an intersection and I hit a building.
Wow.
But no injuries to myself. Everyone keeps saying
Good.
did you hurt your back, your neck, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I think because I was unaware, I was unconscious,
Yeah.
obviously. It's not like I knew
your
to
seatbelt
brace for
on,
impact
clearly.
or anything. I
Right.
just was relaxed. I was taking a nap.
Yeah.
So I'm
Not an
very, very
opportune
lucky.
time, but-
Airbags didn't even go off, actually, which is
Oh,
the other
so you're
blessing.
going
But,
slow, okay.
but so the car's in the shop, and we're waiting to find out the verdict on that. But I've never been in an accident.
Wow.
So this was my,
First, okay.
great way to.
So what's the prognosis? Do you have surgery to repair this, or is it
So
just
I
time?
would be having it, like literally last Friday I would have been having it, but because I had a syncope, a blackout episode, due to pain. They don't know if they can rule it because of the pain or if there's also something cardiac happening. So because of that, I'm being monitored for about the next 30 days.
Okay.
So
Oh, boy.
all these beauty, you
Well,
know.
on the bright side, if you have to be monitored for health issues, working in a health facility is probably not the worst thing.
I have to agree.
You're going to have all of
I have
your
to agree.
staff and team
Yeah.
looking after you. So
Oh my God,
that's
that's
a
what
good thing.
Monday was, because I'm a scrambler and I run around nonstop normally, and I'm like a burst of energy setting things up and getting it done my way. And it was very hard because I had a lot of volunteers are nurses at St. Antoine, and they were yelling at me to sit down every 5 minutes, and which got irritating after a while because I have a fine line of like, don't mom me, like I'm okay. But on the other hand, you're right. I mean, being in a healthcare industry, when you have an injury or something medical going on, there's a lot of sympathy and a lot of knowledge and expertise. So
Yes.
there's some gains in that as well.
Everybody's
as
got
a-
their opinion.
Everyone.
As a guy, I could say that I would look at this on the bright side and say, now I can get my little rascal scooter that I've been looking to get for all these years. I can drive around the communities with the scooter going.
Oh my God, we had an employee a few years ago. Similarly, she had a foot surgery, but she got one of those scooters that you put your knee up on.
Yeah.
And she had like a flag and a bell.
Absolutely.
And it
you
was
should totally get that.
Funny for like a day.
and a half.
Yeah.
Well,
And then
the bell would be
everyone
annoying
hated her.
after a while,
Like,
right.
shut up. So I just know I can't do that. But also going back to I already don't like the attention of it. So here we are.
So you just you're in the boot while you're still being monitored, and you're just in the boot for the
I'm
duration
actually
now?
yesterday I worked from home and I stayed out of it all day. I just kind of gently hobbled around, stayed on my
Yeah.
first floor of my house, and it was doing pretty good. And then I have spurts, and then I'm like, okay, let me put it on just for the structure. So I know it's
Okay.
there for a reason. I just, it's heavy. Have you guys ever worn a boot?
never had the
my daughter
pleasure.
has had one, so yeah.
Man, I want
do
to say
say
maybe
it's
it's
heavy.
like, I don't want to say it's 10 pounds, maybe 5 pounds.
Yeah.
But just the way that it drags on your leg, and I have this stupid
Yeah.
muzzle looking thing on my right foot to balance out the height, so I'm not throwing out my hip in the process. But I look at people in the past thinking they must be really light. It's an air cast, essentially.
Oh,
No,
these
No.
things-
it's
no.
weighted and it's
Yes.
uncomfortable. Yeah, so, yep.
That's why they want you to do the right thing so you can get out of it as soon as possible.
I know,
All
right?
right, well, good luck
Oh.
in your recuperation.
Thank you.
on this,
I
situation.
appreciate it. By the way, next week you'll have me on the air probably sobbing because I'll have my daughter starting her senior year. And so you're going to get a different batch of emotions
Oh,
next
excellent.
week.
Can't
So
wait.
first
we'll
day
be
of
sympathetic.
school.
We won't be crazy.
I can't believe we're here at the first day of school already
day of
for,
school
already.
All right.
for towns. It's nuts.
So I wanted to bring this up before we have to take our next break, because it was on this day in 2020 that remember when this took place, actress Lori Loughlin was sentenced to 2 months in prison for the
Oh,
whole
Aunt Becky. Yeah.
the whole U.S. college admissions bribery scandal
Yes.
thing that was 4 years ago now.
Wow, 2020.
And
Holy cow.
yeah, it was 2020. I guess she spent all 2 months in prison with her
I
with
think
her
she
husband.
did, yeah.
And but I always thought it back then. I go, because Fuller House was
Yes.
making the rounds on
Yep.
Right.
Netflix then.
Yep.
I said they should. Obviously, she couldn't be on the show. I said someone there should put a joke in, and ask John Stamos as Uncle Jesse, hey, where's Becky? Oh, she's back east taking care of some legal problems. That would've
They
been
missed that
great.
opportunity.
They just
They did.
They just
That
didn't
was-
do anything with
I
it.
Oh
know.
They just
man,
left.
they
And I
couldn't.
know
That was
it's a
awful.
kids show and like that, but the adults would have gotten it, and
They'd-
it would have got a great laugh out of the whole thing. She's back east taking care of some legal issues or something to that effect. I said
Yep.
that would have been great.
Oh man, she and Felicity Huffman. Those were the two
Yes.
that took it the
They got the worst.
The
they,
worst-
they were the highest profile people on
Right.
the list.
right.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because I wonder if anybody on the lower profile got anything more than a slap on the wrist.
I remember, they kept coming out, and most people got fines. Not too many people got jail time. These two women did, and the husband on this one as well. I think because they paid the most amount of money.
There were penalties against the institutions too, right? Like there's a lot of focus on
I
the
don't
people,
remember
the rich
that.
people who were trying to get their kids in, but I
Right.
think the institutions
Or
had
the people that were running the
penalties too,
director
like
of admissions.
USC
My
and
kid,
yes.
my kid was on the sailing team. You go, we get
Yeah.
a sailing D1
So
sailing
whoever's like
scholarship.
reviewing these
Right.
applications,
The people who can most afford to pay for college
Yeah.
are the ones cheating the system
That's
to get in
right.
for free, which is probably why they have money, but that's unfortunate.
crazy.
Oh, that's,
So you know what? They get what you deserve.
that's right. So that took place 4 years ago. So
Wow.
Feels
so-
longer than that, doesn't it?
It
does
does
feel
seem like
longer than
that
that.
was a long
Yeah.
time ago, but it wasn't.
But it does feel like people are over it. You brought up Full House, and I saw is her name Candace Burke,
Oh, Candace Cameron Bure.
Cameron Burke. That
She's the hockey
person.
player. Yeah, she married the hockey player.
Yes. She had a picture
she's in
with
all the
Becky
Christmas
recently. I still call her Becky.
Yeah.
Whatever her name was.
Lori Loughlin.
Lord, thank you. Go back to my childhood. Like, she's Aunt Becky. Yeah, there was a picture of the two of them on social media together, and I thought to myself, "Oh, I guess we're over it." Like, you
Oh,
know.
yeah, it's done.
I don't,
So-
I don't think they were ever really on. Well, I don't
Well,
know.
they weren't blackballed or anything like that from Hollywood.
No.
So if they want to get back into entertainment, I guess
Sure they will.
I guess they can.
Everybody can rehabilitate their image. Will
That's
Smith
right.
can.
So yeah,
True story. True story. He's like got a new album coming out and everything.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Does
what
he?
happened to his?
Yeah,
His acting
the slap
career.
heard around the world.
yeah. Well, we got to take a break here in the Coffee and program, so we're going to give it back over to Melissa Smith for a second message.
I feel like I should just pass.
From-
Like
No,
I
don't
think listeners are
pass.
probably
Talk about
tired of hearing
Primrose
about me.
Lane.
From the
Uh,
St.
we love-
Antoine
I
communities.
know. So I'll keep it short and sweet. You heard me say that the golf tournament was Monday and thanking everyone who supported it. But proceeds went to Primrose Lane. And so I'm just here to share, I mentioned a few weeks ago that we're open and we have 12 of the suites occupied. We are going to be opening the next 12 probably at the beginning of September. We're going through applicants trying to find the right fit. So if you know someone who might be interested in exploring their options for assisted living memory care and understanding what services are available and what costs are and et cetera, and a little bit more about the full continuum of care at St. Antoine, I'm the person to reach. So you can call me at 401-767-3500. Be happy to welcome you. We're doing tours Tuesdays through Fridays from now until whenever, from 1 to 3. So stop by if you want to do a last minute pop in and take a walk around.
All right, Melissa, thanks. And more of the Coffee and program coming your way. Comments and questions can be called in at 766-1240.
Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse offers authentic homemade Polish food to make your next meal special. Try our many varieties of hot and fresh pierogies with onions and what they call dirty sour cream. Or pick up gołąbki, kielbasa, babkas, or some fresh rye bread. We also offer a large selection of specialty and imported foods. Open Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, 9 in the morning till 6 p.m., Wednesdays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 8 to 5 p.m. It's Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse. Follow us on Facebook and learn about our weekly specials. Located at 855 Social Street, Woonsocket, Krakow Deli Bakery Smokehouse has all the authentic Polish foods you love.
The Coffee and panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
We are local and live at 99.5.
It's Coffee In on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here, along with Melissa Smith and Tim Draper. And Tim, you had a question
I did.
for
I wanted
Melissa.
to catch this before she
Before I
moved
leave.
along to something other great topics. So I'm seeing some commercials out there for other memory care facilities that
Yep.
seem to be on a similar type of Primrose Lane
Yep.
design. Is that accurate?
It is. So, in the northern part of Rhode Island, there are only, I'd say within 20 miles of our campus, that's what I'm considering northern part of Rhode Island, there's 3 other memory care assisted living units. So it's not to say we're the only one. The difference between them and us is it's not one, we are not a dedicated community just servicing memory care. Assisted living. The others are freestanding memory care assisted livings. Their prices are very high. And 4 years ago, when the idea came up to design this unit, it was being designed with the idea and the intention and allowing people to spend down onto Medicaid waiver. Right now, if you go to a dedicated freestanding memory care assisted living unit, or even just an assisted living, because obviously our assisted living also allows for Medicaid waiver, when you run out of resources, you're kindly asked to leave. No one likes to say you're kicked out because it sounds harsh. They spin it into other appropriate terms, but the bottom line is you are asked to leave. And it's very hard to take someone, especially with memory care, even more so than traditional assisted living, but memory impairment, and take them away from the only home that they've adapted to and the staff that they've adapted to, et cetera. So Primrose Lane being different in that, yes, people do live there that are paying privately, but they know that when their resources run out, they're not asked to leave. No one's being kicked out.
Great.
We spend you down onto Medicaid waiver. We're allowing up to 40% of our population to have Medicaid waiver coverage. So for those that don't really know what Medicaid waiver is, your determination for that is resources, assets are down to your remaining 4,000 or so. and income is below 3,000. So when you fall into that bucket, eventually, I mean, everyone runs out of money at some point, especially when average cost of care for memory care
And
assisted
you're
living.
living to 90s.
Yeah, and you could be, because a lot of people moving in are in, I hate to say, but they're early 70s, mid 70s, because memory care assisted living is a much more independent, physically independent individual. Yes, things are changing with their memory, their coordination, ability to maybe control like incontinence, things like that, but physically can move around a unit on their own, get themselves up and down from a chair, get a fork to their mouth. So a little bit more of that independent state versus like what you would find in a nursing home level memory care unit. So there's a medical criteria. The diagnosis of Alzheimer's has to be there, and I'm talking about Medicaid eligibility. There's a medical component criteria, so some assistance with ADLs like showering, for example, medication management, and having a diagnosis of dementia. But there's also a financial criteria, and I just outlined those for you a minute ago. So it's not just, oh, I ran out of money and I want my loved one to live in your facility. They have to qualify medically as well. But going back to that bigger picture, those other facilities, when you run out of resources, you're asked to leave.
Yeah.
And the reason that we're filling up so quickly is, I mean, I have an overabundance of Medicaid applications. We are waiting for the state to give us our Medicaid license right now. We should have it in another week or two. And then we'll start weeding through those applications. We can only fill in the beginning up to 40% of Medicaid out of the 24 spots. But again, it makes us unique, and it's really comforting, I think, when we're touring with families to be able to communicate like your loved one's going to age in place. So in our full continuum, we'll be able to take them in, support them as long as they need us. They need rehab, we've got that. They need eventually nursing home level in a secured unit, we've got that. But they can come in and we're not going to ask them to leave. And rewinding to the bigger picture, even for our traditional assisted living, the same message applies. You can move into our assisted living. You can live there for 10 years, paying privately, spending down to your last dollar. You never have to leave. When you run out, we will qualify you for Medicaid.
That's great.
So again, in the northern part of Rhode Island, we are, and really there's only 2 other facilities in the state of Rhode Island that allow that full continuum that we have, but they're in the southern part of the state.
Okay, yeah.
So, so, and we get a lot of people from Blackstone, Mendon, Millville, like even from Massachusetts coming over the border as well, because there's nothing really in southern Mass that
Right,
covers that
okay.
same spectrum.
Answer your question, Tim?
It did, very much
Yeah.
so.
Thank you for my third message.
All right, perfect. Yeah,
I appreciate it.
All right. It just when you were talking about some of the stuff, just reminded me of a joke I saw on Facebook. How you can tell if you're old. If you're out in public and you fall down and people laugh, you're young. If they rush over to help you up,
You're old.
you're old.
You're old.
That's how you can tell. All right. So other things going on. You know, you hear about people flying on airplanes, of course, and we get the whole list of things of weapons that you cannot bring. You know, no knives, no machetes,
Yep.
no guns, things like that. But one of the other things you cannot bring on airplanes, and a man from South Carolina found this out because he was arrested at TF Green Airport. You cannot bring 9 pounds of marijuana
Oh,
with you on the airplane.
I saw that news story.
That's
wouldn't have thought of that.
That's illegal. And so I'm looking at the story. I go, what was it in his check bag, or was it in his carry-on? I don't have that information. I really would like to know what he tried to, how he tried.
Probably
to
had it in his backpack, bringing it on the
Probably.
plane, figuring that
Yeah.
I can carry that because it's legal, but it's only legal in certain amounts, right? It's
Well,
only
I mentioned that
like
today.
ounces, I think.
Yeah, we talked about half an ounce. He goes, well, but really, you're since the airlines are federally authorized to the
Right,
FAA.
right. Oh, it's
marijuana
illegal. That's
is
right.
still a federally controlled
substance,
substance, so you
Good
can't
point.
bring that on the plane.
Yeah.
So
that's a
no
good
pound.
point.
So it doesn't matter that it was 9
doesn't-
pounds versus 1.
1 ounce.
No pounds.
No pounds.
No
No
pounds.
ounces.
No pounds.
No
No
ounces. No
ounces, no
pounds.
nothing.
Nothing.
So he's charged, obviously possession. But if you're carrying 9 pounds, you're not. This is not for personal use.
Right.
I wonder if it would
You're
be
going to deliver.
if he'll use the argument that I was unaware of the rules, or I did
I
not
think
realize
he's-
that was illegal, or
I think he's going to go with that one.
yeah,
No, marijuana is legal now.
yeah,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
not 9 pounds.
yeah. No, I know.
Yeah.
And your ignorance of the
And
law
then are
is
you
not an
asked to
excuse.
put it in the
that's true.
trash can at the check-in?
Yeah.
Where? Or you go back to your car. What do you do in that moment? 9 pounds.
Well,
Well,
hopefully
they
before
call
anybody
the
before
police.
anybody finds out that it's 9 pounds,
But
you
if
come to
you're
the
in-
realization.
But if you're in, I'm just trying to put myself into TF Green. It's
Okay.
legal in Rhode Island.
Okay.
I'm going through the line. They find it in my bag.
They're going to ask you to
Yeah, I
step
think once you're-
You're
I
not
think
allowed
you're-
to step
No,
I
out
think
and
that
bring it
once
back
you're-
to your car.
once
They're
you're
going to
past-
compensate.
No.
Once you're past TSA, you're under federal control.
Yeah.
I think at that point. I wonder if the airport is federally controlled.
Okay,
I
so I'm
bet
going to
it
ask
is.
one more question.
Yeah.
So I'm putting myself back through the line again.
Yeah.
So I drop my bag, it's going through the x-ray machine, that's when it's getting detected.
Yep.
So because I've already gone through and had my scan of
Yep.
my body, I'm now officially through. The bag got stopped. I can't go back out with
No.
that because I've already gone through scan.
Correct.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Plus,
you
it's
couldn't.
an illegal substance.
They're
so
gonna-
now
yeah,
they have
if it's
to contact
illegal-
authorities.
Right. They're going to call police right away.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter that I'm in
It's-
Rhode Island and it's legal
No.
because it went through checkout with people who are
Because-
federal
right.
employees. There's
and the
difference.
airport I think the airport itself, the airport proper. I don't know. That's an interesting question. Is
Well,
it,
it's not like when I
is
went
it
through.
controlled by the Warwick Police or is it
Um,
covered by TSA, which would be
it
federal?
just says
agency?
police, so I don't know. Whoever can get there first.
It's like crossing over the line. Like,
Yeah.
at what
Yeah.
point are you under Warwick control?
Exactly.
What point are you under federal
That's what I'm
control?
wondering. And I'm only breaking this down because I feel like people listening
Yeah.
may need to
Yeah.
know this
They need to know
information.
this information.
So we need to get
Don't
some
bring
answers.
your pot to the
well,
airplane.
it's not like when I went through TSA and I got caught with my full bottle of sunscreen,
Oh,
8 ounces.
yeah.
Oh,
more than
oh,
three.
that's-
no,
okay.
no, more than 3.
I thought you were gonna say that you
Ah,
Took your
So they
lotion out
just-
and there was something else in it.
Oh, no, no, no.
No, but
Probably
you
one of those
meant
expensive
So you're-
Fufu
my choice. Throw
body
it away.
lotion style.
Go put it in my
sunscreens.
check bag. My check bag's already checked. How do we get it back?
right.
Go put it in your car. Just throw it away.
That was
Yeah.
that was kind
That's
of what
what
my
happened.
first question was. Like, do you stand there in that moment? But what you're saying is they compensated at
Yeah.
that point.
It's
But
So-
in my mind, when I'm saying throw it away, basically what I was really saying is, here you go.
here you
Right.
go.
Because it's
You throw it
unopened,
away.
and now someone's taking it home. Is
Right.
what I'm
Right, you
thinking.
throw it
So,
away. I've
yeah,
done my work.
That's right. So, all right. So that's what happened down there at TF Green Airport. 29 pounds, no good. All right.
No bueno.
We had an attorney in Rhode Island arrested for allegedly misappropriation of funds from
Yeah,
three
like
different estates.
450 grand or something
Yeah.
like that. That was
He's been disbarred.
yeah.
His name is James McClear, and he allegedly was accused of writing checks from the estates and addressed them to him or to his law firm. And then he went and spent money on his business and personal stuff. Doesn't say what their personal stuff was, but
Is he going to make an argument though? I wonder that he was
Oh, no,
paying
I was
himself.
allowed to do
I'm paying myself for services that I provided to the estate. I'm the executor of the estate, therefore I can do it. The fact that I took the money, put it into my business account, and then paid myself with that money, that's how I get paid. I get
but he's
paid
already
from my-
been disbarred.
No, I know. So there's something beyond that, but I just wonder
Yeah.
if that's the argument he's trying to make.
So, and he was released on $5,000 personal recognizance.
Doesn't
I think-
seem like a lot.
I think that's so low for the money he stole. Probably.
Yeah.
That should be a little higher. Anyway, he'll get his own lawyer now, and he'll be back in court on November 13th.
Right.
And we'll see what else goes on with that. And this doesn't affect you guys, but up in Massachusetts, there's a succession of people that are in charge. And we got the governor,
Governor,
and
lieutenant
lieutenant
governor.
governor, and the Speaker of the House. And the next person in line is the state auditor. Well, the governor and the lieutenant governor and the speaker are all in Chicago
Yeah.
for the DNC.
Right.
So the state auditor, Diana DiZoglio, is basically in charge. So she wrote up an executive order because she's technically the governor.
Good for her. What'd she do?
Well, she wants to ban non-disclosure agreements.
Oh.
And so she was going to sign an executive order as the acting governor. And I guess word got to Chicago, hey, you're fourth in line. Look, and they took the Speaker of the House and said, get back to Massachusetts.
Well, see, that's
and put a stop to
This
what
is
she's. What does she
hysterical.
think she's doing?
this is classic. We got everybody's so excited about the convention. Let's just send everybody to the convention.
Yeah.
Yet we've
Who's
got nobody
behind?
in charge.
But so I need to
Unelected
understand this
officials.
though. So, but governors go on vacation all the. I know that she's at the DNC. So
Yeah.
essentially, like let's say a work trip. I didn't realize that the next chain of command in order every time you step out of the state.
Sorry,
didn't
it
think
wasn't.
Go on
It
vacation, or-
wasn't. It was the Secretary of State. It's not the Speaker. In
Okay.
Mass.
Yeah.
So, but Bill Galvin is his name. He was at the DNC.
Yeah.
He had to come back.
Yeah.
He returned yesterday, and he's the acting governor now until
But
Friday
to
when
Melissa's
Maura
point-
But
Healy
no
comes
just
back.
because
different.
the
Like Dan
governor goes on
McGee is
vaca- yeah.
out
Yeah.
there too right now.
When he
and
goes to
so-
Florida, when Dan goes to Florida,
Yeah.
right, for
Sabina's-
vacation,
Sabina Matos is in charge.
does he have to give up authority as governor?
No, I don't think it's anything that's written that he has to write. It's just it's assumed that the next person in charge is the lieutenant governor.
I guess I'm really lost on this.
Yeah, I'm not-
Especially with technology right now, you can work anywhere.
Anywhere.
You can
Yeah,
put
but
your
someone
toes
has
in
to
the sand.
physically be in the state.
I think that's I don't know if that's right. I
don't
don't
either.
think you can.
That's an
I mean
abuse of
every
power.
every when when Barack Obama would play golf in Martha's Vineyard, he was still the president. He was out of Washington. Of course, I guess you could say he's in the United States still.
Well, yeah.
But when he goes overseas, he's, I guess Air Force One is still the United
is
States.
the flying White House.
Yeah, but I mean, even with
Well-
the governor. I mean, I would think that if you're going to go on vacation, or you're going to go to a convention.
Correct.
But I think
that
it's funny that the
you're
fourth
still-
person in line was trying to get a law in.
Well, that
I
just
do
says to me
too.
that
I
the
think
fourth
that's an
person in line
abuse
doesn't
of-
know what they're doing. Is
Right.
what scares me more, and they're unelected. Correct?
Or they know what they're
The
doing.
state auditor. No, I think it's elected, but I'm not positive on that.
Really interesting.
It's one of those elected jobs you're like, I don't know what they do, and I don't know who the best person is for
Right.
this. So
I think
we're
they
gonna
were
Google it.
waiting for the opportunity. I mean,
I
you
think so.
said
Because she typed it up herself.
yeah.
So she wrote it herself.
All week, I'm sure she's like, "Oh, they're going away. I've got
I
my
can put
first
this
draft
in."
ready."
It's and I don't know how people feel about non-disclosure agreements. Have you ever signed one?
Nope.
I have.
I have.
I have too.
Yeah.
Because I was going from one industry to another industry. I was going from one industry to this. I go, they certainly didn't compete at all, and I was fine. I won't be jumping to the competition. So
I think you. Though there's a place for those NDAs when you're doing negotiations with companies. If you don't have an NDA in place, who's to say I'm not going to take the information that you just gave me and then turn around and give it to your competitor so I get a better deal from your competitor?
Yeah.
So you need to have NDAs in place, just from a business perspective.
Okay. Well,
It is an elected constitutional officer. The state
Somewhat-
auditor of Massachusetts is an elected constitutional officer.
it is okay. So I'm waiting. When Governor Healy comes back from the DNC, I think she's going to have a little sit-down meeting.
Yeah,
with
but I
the
don't think she
state
can do
auditor.
anything. It's not what she can do. She was elected.
Right.
She can go,
Don't try to pull that again. And by the
Right.
way, if you want to be the governor, run for governor.
Right.
Right.
And then do whatever you want. You can
I wonder
sign
if those
as
two
many
are
executive
close.
orders-
I wonder if they are
I don't
of
know.
like mind.
I don't.
Probably
know.
not because she's not at the convention, or he's not at
Well,
the
someone had
convention.
to stay behind.
I know. Designated survivor.
That's right. So, all right, time for a look at the forecast right now. And this forecast being brought to you by Frank Webb Home.
Increasing clouds today with a high of 71 degrees and a breeze from the west. Tonight, mostly clear, overnight low of 50. Thursday's weather, sunshine and 72. Friday, sunshine and 79. Saturday, sunshine and 81. Sunday, sunshine and 83. Monday, sunshine and 82. And on Tuesday, mostly sunny skies, high of 81.
Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street with sunny skies, we're up to 64 degrees. Create a space you can't wait to be in with Frank Webb Home. Their showroom consultants can help you find the bath, kitchen, and lighting solutions you need to enhance your space. Find a showroom near you at frankwebb.com.
You've heard it before. The world is getting smaller. Places you had to travel to years ago now seem right next door. It's no surprise, then, that all the communities of the Blackstone Valley have so much in common these days that we share common interests. Keeping up with this trend, the Blackstone Valley's two daily newspapers, The Call and The Times, have joined forces to cover the entire valley in one convenient newspaper. The Blackstone Valley's Call and Times, a paper for the entire valley. At your local store, honor box, or home delivery, 767-8522. You know, when you're paying the right price for protection, you just know it. It's that warm, fuzzy, totally secure feeling, knowing that you're not only getting great coverage, but you're also not paying too much for it. And when it comes to your insurance, there's no one better at getting the right price for your protection than Allstate agents Kara and Celeste Benjamin, because they know when it comes to your bank account, every penny counts towards something bigger, something better. Like a nicer car, that home update you've been dreaming of, or a phone that's fresh out of the box. Those little or big things that we work so hard for. And Kara and Celeste Benjamin want to help you work a little less by getting you the coverage you need and the savings you deserve when you switch to Allstate. Contact Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, two locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. 765-5000 for a free quote today. Allstate, you're in good hands. And you're in good hands with Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. Savings vary based on the average annual savings reported by new auto customers surveyed in 2019 who switched to Allstate.
Hey, it's ON Radio's Cruisin' Bruce Palmer, and I'd love to have you join me every Saturday for the Saturday Block Party. We start at 4 o'clock when I open up the ON Music Vault. for you to pick whatever you want to hear or send to somebody special. Yes, the good old radio request days are back. Join me for the Saturday Block Party, Saturdays from 4 until 7 on ON Radio and streaming online at woonsocket.radio.com.
It's Coffee and on ON. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning. Joe Callahan here with Melissa Smith and Tim Draper. And Tim, time for first message from Navigant Credit Union.
Already?
Yeah, already.
Wow, great.
Monday mornings,
You know-
Wednesday morning flying by.
Right. I talk a lot about our digital services. We talk a lot about security and safety and protecting yourself and being your own advocate. And a lot of times I forget to talk about our branch. And we have 26 branches across the state, and they're all fantastic in their own way. They all have their own unique identities for each community that they're in. But I don't ever want to forget our folks and friends here at the Park Square location. We merged with Park Square back in 2001, I think, or right around that time, when we kind of became a family. And that branch over there is just fantastic. It's had some great management teams. Right now, Christian has got a great organization over there, and his group is a good group. It's usually very busy in the branch, but they get people through, they get transactions done, and we're just very appreciative of the folks that still want to come into the branch, because we feel that it's important. We spend a lot of money on this very high-touch way to provide service, because we know that people, when they want to talk to somebody about their very personal finances, they want to talk face-to-face. They don't necessarily want to do it online. So our branches are there for our members and people who want to become members of the credit union to come in and see the people that you're dealing with, talk to the folks who are going to help you through your financial well-being. And I just encourage you to go to 1280 Park Ave whenever you want to and see the team there. I know that they like to see people when they come in. So don't forget our branches, Navigant Credit Union.
All right, I have a question for you, Tim, in terms of Navigant. Would you prefer that your members make appointments to come in and talk to the branch manager?
Yeah. Well, I don't. We've talked about putting an appointment system in,
Yeah.
which I think we're going to end up doing probably ultimately next year. But it's more for people's convenience if they want to know that they have a specific time to come in and talk to somebody because they're in a busy schedule. But I think there'll always be that opportunity for people to just walk in, sit down, and wait in the waiting area and get next. Or how may we help you, I think is the way we say it. And it really is just, if you're going to walk into a branch, I mean, you kind of have to go in with the understanding that you could be behind one or two people that are already there. But know that the team is trying to process folks as efficiently and as quickly as they can so that they can get to the next person waiting. We don't like anybody waiting. I remember in the old days, in Central Falls when I was working in that branch, Gary's office was way down at one end of the hallway and the teller line was at the other end, but he had a glass wall and he could see all the way to the teller line. And whenever there was more than two people in line, he would be yelling for Randy to come in and say, "Why are there two people in line?" Well, it's lunchtime and everybody's downstairs eating. Well, tell somebody to come up. I mean, and that's the way, that's the philosophy I think that carries over to today. We don't want to have people waiting, but we know sometimes that just is.
All right, because I bring it up because another credit union that actually I belong to, but it's in Massachusetts.
Yep.
And I went in there to talk to somebody, I forget about what, and they said, and the first thing they asked, "Do you have an appointment?"
Yeah.
No. But I looked around. I was the only one in there.
Yeah, yeah.
I was the only customer in there, I should
Right.
say.
I think you.
Like,
well,
please have a seat. We'll be right with you. It was still 10 minutes later.
yeah.
Like, what is the whole?
Well, they could be on the phone too. They could be talking.
okay,
But
okay.
appointments take many forms now. Right now,
They do.
now they're
Yeah.
virtual conversations on your computer. They're telephone calls that people make. So, yeah, it can happen. I don't think anybody wants to live and die by the appointment, the scheduling systems.
Yeah.
But the scheduling systems do make it a little more efficient for folks.
Yeah, maybe
So-
you need like a triage approach in a sense where you have like one window for like the quickie questions.
Well, you used to
and
have
then the rest of them are appointment based.
Right. You used to have the commercial business window, and any businesses could run in and do the commercial. I don't know if we even still have those anymore. I don't think we do. Dave would know. Whether we have commercial window, and then the rest of them are all teller windows. But we just try to make sure that there's a lot of tellers. And,
Right.
And that's really the key. And that is not easy these days, as we
Right.
all know about hiring people. But yeah, I think. I know that our priority is service as fast as we can.
Yep.
And I think that by and large, I don't get a lot of complaints about I waited too long in line.
Mm-hmm.
I waited a long time on the phone sometimes because, again, contact center and staffing, and depending on what the issue is of the day, you may have a line or not. I will tell you that the 1st, 3rd, and the 15th of the month are always busy days at the credit union, just because that's when everybody's getting their checks.
Right.
If they're not being electronic deposited, which they should be.
All right. It just reminds me of, I watch way too much TV, but Married with Children.
Yeah.
The Bundy's next door neighbor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stephen Marcy.
Yep.
Worked at a financial institution, and Al went to go see Steve at the bank, and and Steve said they were getting ready to close for the day. He goes, Steve said, it's gonna be a real busy day tomorrow. I got to put up these next teller signs to one just to make it
I don't
more
remember that
inconvenient.
Oh, man.
All right, so first day of school's coming up.
Yep.
For a lot of kids and for yours too, Melissa.
Yep.
What do you think of this in Methuen, Massachusetts? Cell phone ban going into place this school year in Methuen. School officials said the devices are addictive and disruptive to learning. Students will place their phones in a container during class time. The new policy was prompted by complaints from teachers who said they were constantly asking students to put their cell phones away. What's the deal with your school system?
I don't feel like
Do you
this
know?
is breaking news. This is happening in a lot of towns, a lot of school
but
systems.
what about yours?
They do have this new corral system in the classroom where you're dropping them on your way in. I think it's great. Half the kids have watches on anyway, so in terms of like getting alerts or shooting like a text, I think everyone goes to school shootings. Like I think that's a parent's headspace is they need to have their phone. What if there's a
What
shooting?
if there's an emergency? Okay.
I mean, you have to. I think we need to get out of that headspace. I know it's hard to do. I think of it often still, but I also worry about distractions in the classroom, and I also worry about social media like Snapchat and things like that, and kids bullying each other in this virtual space where teachers can't see it, but kids can see it. And so I'm all for getting them out of their hands during the class. It's disruptive. It's that like subconscious distraction. Are they writing about me? Are they talking about me? Back in our day, it might have been like handwritten notes that you
Notes.
fold up
Right.
kind of cute and you
Yeah.
throw across the room.
Right.
Yeah.
This is like next level. This is like under the desk, snapping stories, taking pictures that go away. If anybody
Right.
knows how Snapchat works, it like disappears.
Mm-hmm.
So evidence is gone. So I think parents worry about that. And so I think it's appropriate to take them out of their hands, put them in a basket in the beginning of the classroom, whatever their system is. I think right now in our school system, they're still having them put it in the backpacks. They have to be.
Okay.
So that's a little bit of a trust area, but I think most teachers are on it. But our classroom sizes are also only, I think, no more than 25.
Smaller.
I think some of
Okay.
the bigger towns and cities are having a problem with the volume of students for a teacher to monitor. But
I would also be concerned if I was the teacher, kids sharing answers during quizzes and
Yeah.
tests.
Yeah.
yep,
What'd you get for question number 4?
Yep.
Well, that's George Washington. Okay.
Well, it's interesting. When I taught for a little while at Bryant as an adjunct faculty member many years ago, and it was right when they were starting to give kids computers
yep.
for the classroom. So
Okay.
you could take your computer in.
Like a laptop?
They would like a laptop. They were ThinkPads or something like that at the time. But I remember teaching and standing in front of the class, doing the lesson, and all the computers are up, and I'm looking and going, I wonder what they're doing. And I'm thinking, I bet none of these kids are taking notes and none of them are paying attention. So I decided to walk around the classroom. And I walked around, and I'm looking over, about 4 rows over, I kind of glanced out of the corner of my eye. This kid was on like sports betting. I'm like, oh, great. This is what we've come to. But that was the beginning. I
Yeah.
stopped teaching after that. But that was like, that's when I realized, oh man, we're gonna have a problem. Because
Right.
they kept saying, well, you just tell them to put the computers away.
Right.
Like, but what if they tell me they want to? This is how they're taking their
That's how
notes.
they
But
take
now
notes.
classes are completely dedicated, especially in those lower levels, even elementary. They're in Chromebooks.
Right.
Yeah.
So-
Fian had iPads. You took your
Yep.
notes and did everything on your iPad.
Yep.
I-
So now everyone's issued a Chromebook.
Right.
You gotta like,
That's
and
right.
it's not even just a flat tablet in front of
Right.
you. It's you've got like a little bit of a barrier.
Right.
But I don't know. You want to progress with technology, but then there's these barriers, and at least there's safeguards on the laptops with the kids being able to like
Right.
do searching online.
Teachers
so like that.
should
You
be
can't do that
teaching
in
from the back
college.
of the room now,
Not the front of the room.
not the front of the room.
Well, on the college level is different than the high
Very
school level.
different.
But you as the teacher, you can or the kid could always say, Well, I paid to be in the classroom. If
Yeah.
I don't want to pay attention to you, that's my problem, not
Right.
your problem.
Right. That's
If I wanna
actually-
put sport. If I want to bet on the Red Sox while the class is going on, that's
It's
up
partially
to me.
partially the way I looked at it. That's
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
I mean,
if you're not
I'm
gonna
going to
get it.
see
If
the
they're gonna
results
fail,
in your
they
test.
fail. That's
right.
right.
Yeah.
And then when they come to me and say,
Well,
"Whoa,
what's
what's
the
the
problem?"
see?" I'm going to, well, how come you didn't pay attention?
Yeah.
How come you were betting the sports book?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there
I
you
do
go.
feel bad for teachers, though. You're reminding me of this conversation I had with my daughter. I don't know how it came up. This is at the end of the school year, and she said something about like, well, my friends took their history exam before I took mine or whatever, and they were kind of like telling me like what to expect or whatever, and I'm like, well, that's cheating, and she's like, it's not cheating. I said, well, would you talk about it at lunch? She's like, no, they like shot an email out to my friends and I and let me know. The teachers are always having to be one step ahead. So
Yeah.
my daughter took her test, and she's like, it was nothing like they said. But
Different
it's got to be exhausting to be a teacher to constantly have to think ahead of the kids,
Oh,
knowing
yeah.
you know, to be able to come up with 4 different exams for the same 4 classes, but knowing they're going to share information, knowing, you know, and it's on the kid at the end of the day.
Right.
If you're going to cheat or you're going to find a way to get answers or you're going to find a way to skirt around, you're not going to get far in life. And these kids have got to realize that on their own. But, yeah.
I mean, even when we were in school, I remember teachers would have 2 or 3 different versions of the test, and they
Yeah.
would hand that test out
Yep.
to randomly to kids in the
Yep.
so
Yeah.
Like
you
a
couldn't look at the
scramble.
kid next to you and know what because question 2 might have been question 4 on another
Right.
test and question 6 on another test.
Right.
And that is probably the way they have to do it these days too.
Right. That's why I think the hardest classes in talking to my daughter, who's one of those like AP honors type kids, it is last year AP Lang for her, English language. Everything was just writing, drafting, 4-page. Like you get an exam level in that class, and it's writing a 4-page essay in a hour window block, and let's see how you do without like, you know, looking up something online. Just has to come from your brain
Right.
and your knowledge. It can't be, you know, researched ahead of time or cheated off someone else. And that's in my opinion some of the harder classes because you can skirt everything else. I feel like.
All right, we're gonna get a second message, Tim, from Navigant Credit Union, and then we gotta say goddbye to Melissa.
I know.
Yeah, I
I
know.
have to
We're gonna
go.
see us leave
I'm
a
so
little early.
sorry.
So let's get a second message, Tim, from Navigant.
Thanks, Joe. So, folks, again, PSAs as we always do. The fraudsters continue to do the things that they do to try and separate you from your hard-earned money, and we just ask you to, you know, think through if somebody makes a phone call to you or sends you an email or text message that you are not expecting and doesn't sound quite right. Don't just be sucked into the emotion of the moment. Stop, take a deep breath, think about what's happening. If you're not sure, there is absolutely zero shame in calling us at the credit union and asking us what we think. It's also no shame to call even the police department and ask them what they think. I know that they'll be happy to try to help you get through those very pressure-filled times. And you know, and more importantly, it really is all about self-advocacy. So it's that stop rule that we try to tell people to think through what's happening. If you get a check in the mail and somebody says, "Hey, cash this check and, you know, send us back, you know, 10% of it for our troubles and blah blah blah," that's
get the rest,
a scam. That's not going to work. And more importantly, if you go into a branch to try to take a substantial amount of money out, and we start asking you questions, it's not because we're trying to interfere with your life or be nosy as far as what you're doing with that money. We want to make sure that you're not being taken for a ride. And we see that every single week, sometimes multiple times a day, where people are just, they're about to get scammed, and we prevent that. So we're asking questions because we care. We really do. And if there's anything that we can do to help you and put your mind at ease, then we would do that. 233-4700 is the contact center. You can always call that. Or you could go in, like I said, and see Christian at the branch or visit us at navigantcu.org.
All right, Tim, thanks. And before we let Melissa go, you're going to be able to get through the day J-Lo and Ben Affleck are getting divorced. I mean,
That's like, I'm glad you didn't bring that up at the beginning of
Who
the
didn't,
show.
see,
I mean,
who didn't see that coming?
oh God, and it's so bad to read the comments on social media because it's
Well, don't read them.
no,
Cringeworthy.
just don't. It's
Just
just
move on.
unfortunate. They
Okay.
both need to go away for a
Away.
while.
I don't know how they went away for one, then he got back together. I don't know how that happened.
I don't know. All right, take a quick break here on
It's
Coffee
Hollywood.
In. Melissa, have yourself a great week. We'll see you
Thank
next
you guys.
next week.
See you
Very
next
good.
week.
Hope your foot's better.
Homes built before 1978 often contain lead. Be lead smart. Living in a lead safe house is the best way to prevent lead poisoning. Landlords, you are required by law to have a lead certificate. Take action and get a lead certificate today. Visit lead1978.com. Renters, ask your landlord for a copy of the lead certificate, especially if you have children. Brought to you by the Rhode Island Department of Health and the Rhode Island Broadcasters Association.
When you're thinking about a place to go out to eat with your family or the whole gang, or maybe something quieter for just the two of you, head over to ON Radio's website, wonsocketradio.com, and click on the restaurant guide. This gives you a listing of the best restaurants in the area. You can take a look at menus and possibly even make reservations. This is a great resource to see a bunch of restaurants all in one place. Remember, it's wonsocketradio.com and click on Restaurant Guide. And if you own a restaurant that's not already listed, call WOON Radio at 401-762-1240 for information on how your restaurant can be on the Restaurant Guide. Call Joe at 401-762-1240.
You can depend on us for public service. ON Radio.
It's Coffee In here on ONAM and FM. Thanks for joining us. This is Joe Callahan here with Tim Draper. We've got a quick note called in on a completely different subject, Tim.
All right.
Don't look now, but guess who's the National League favorite to win the Cy Young Award? Any idea? You know him well. You love him.
It's not Justin Verlander, that's for sure.
No, think Boston Red Sox.
Really?
Chris Sale's having a great year down in Atlanta.
Of course.
Of course. We all said it. We knew this was going to happen.
Yeah,
As soon
guess
as
what?
He's going to go to Atlanta. He's going to have a fabulous year.
Guess who ends up having a great year this year is my guess is Mac Jones.
Well, I don't know about that.
I don't know.
But quite possibly.
I just think that out of the environment, you take them out of the environment,
I
and
know,
they
from
thrive somewhere
new.
else.
Yep. So, oh well. It's just that's
You
the way
turn this into
the
the sports show for the
gods
rest of
just work out. All right.
How about Jeff Bezos almost is in the mix for the Celtics?
I heard that.
Yeah.
And I heard John Henry's not. Great.
Thank God.
But yeah, I did hear that yesterday. So hey, okay, that would be all right.
Also, Paul Allen,
I don't. Who's that?
Microsoft. He was the
Oh,
number two guy at
really?
Microsoft
Okay.
with Bill Gates that built the company. He's
All
worth
right.
billions.
Bringing
Yeah,
some money to the
Bezos.
Celtics?
Bezos
Wow.
liquidated some Amazon
Yeah.
shares apparently.
To try to buy the
Like,
Celtics, huh?
like
Wow.
a couple $1 billion in Amazon shares, and yeah,
We'll take it. The state of New Hampshire is challenging a Massachusetts gun law because 2 New Hampshire residents were charged in Massachusetts with felony gun possession because they would just happen to be traveling through the state with their guns.
yeah,
Now, New Hampshire allows people to own and carry a gun without a license.
right,
Massachusetts does not.
yeah.
But we're just passing through.
Doesn't matter. I think if you're
Well, that's
in
why
this-
they're challenging it.
Yeah, that would be interesting. But right now, I think it doesn't matter. You have to if you possess a firearm, you have to follow the rules of the state.
The New Hampshire Attorney General's office has filed a brief with the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court.
Yep.
It argues the potential punishment for crossing state line violates the Second Amendment with overly restrictive regulations.
That's going to be an interesting
So
one. That'll be a test
We'll have to see. That will be a test to see where that goes.
because that means that everybody from every state where the gun laws are super liberal can just go through all these other very conservative states.
I'll have to look again because
Conservative gun laws, I
When I
should
jumped from Rhode Island to Massachusetts, because
Yeah.
there used to be "Welcome to Massachusetts," and then there was another sign about their gun laws, and they may still be there. And it used to be, maybe I just don't see it because it's just been there so long that I don't see it anymore.
I don't know.
But the last time I went through New York State,
Yep.
crossing from Mass to New York, there are signs up, "Welcome to New York." By the way, cell phone ban use.
Well, yeah, I've seen that.
Right when you're entering the state, so
Right,
that
hands-free.
you can't use it as an excuse.
Right.
'Cause when you cross the state,
You-
that's the law.
That's the law. It says it right on the sign.
And so, I just wondered that Mass used to have that. I just wonder if they still do.
When I did
I don't know.
I do a safety course. You have to do a safety course if you're going to own a firearm. So when I went through that, I just remember that was like a big deal. You couldn't if in one state you could have a loaded magazine in your car with the gun as long as it's not in the gun, then if you were driving through a state where you had to have them separated, one had to be in the trunk and one had to be locked somewhere else, and you got caught in a traffic violation, then you were responsible for that law in that state.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, we'll see if it goes
New Hampshire
anywhere.
can
Can
win
win
that.
this, yeah.
And they're just saying that listen, those are our citizens.
Well, people have been going to Google on a different note, and more people want their because if you go to Google Maps, you can look up your house.
Yeah.
More people are now blurring the image of their home. They don't want you to be able to see it. People are doing this as a precaution. They say it's against burglaries and home invasions.
Yeah, I think that's. Just think you can take a satellite picture, look down at your house. You'll know exactly where your fences are, where the
Yeah.
entrances and exits are, how your property looks.
And I also remember when I first saw my house on it, I said, I never agreed to this.
Yeah,
But oh well, it wasn't a great.
this is the world we live in. Though.
I know.
It's just
as I told whatever satellite or whatever automation took this picture didn't do a very good job.
Yeah.
It's half of my house.
Yep.
And the half of my neighbor's house. It's a great picture of my garage. That's my Google map. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, that's nice.
I remember the first time I saw them, they were very grainy and they weren't
Yeah,
that great. Now you look
yeah.
at them and go, man, I almost can read the license plate on my car.
Yeah.
And they finally took a new picture of my house because my truck is in the driveway, which is the last one was my
Oh.
old
That's what
truck.
I said. The last time I looked, I said, hey, that's 3 cars ago.
Yeah, that's right.
So out in San Diego, first responders did a good thing. They saved the arm of a man, and his arm was caught in a tortilla making machine.
Ooh,
Just uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, the man got his right arm caught in the machine up to his shoulder at Logan Heights Market last Friday morning, and was found suspended above the ground.
he
Okay.
was suspended the group.
Yeah. And so TV station out there says 34 firefighters spent 45 minutes getting him free, sent him to the hospital, still attached to part of the machine.
Huh.
Doctors report his arm has now been saved. The tortilla-making side of the market has been shut down
Well,
for
that's-
OSHA inspection.
Oh, that's good.
Did you get all
Feel
the
good.
blood out?
Yeah. Well, the machine went to the hospital, so did you get the machine back?
Does it still work?
Yeah, right.
The former Minneapolis police officer convicted in the killing of George Floyd, he's now in Texas. They move these people around,
Yeah,
different prisons.
facilities. He'll be in Central Falls in no time.
Derek Chauvin was relocated from a transfer facility in Oklahoma to a minimum security federal prison in Big Spring, Texas. There is no word as to why the move took place. It just does. The change comes the same day that fellow former Minneapolis police officer Thomas Lane, who was also convicted in the Floyd case, was released from prison. Just one of the he was one of the
guys
rookies
standing by,
that was
right?
just standing by.
Yeah.
Tough
That's
tough
such
shoes to be in when your supervisor is doing something wrong and you're the rookie cop.
I know.
That is just, sir.
I can think
I
of
don't
a lot
think you
of
should be doing
things where
that.
people get tied up with.
Yeah.
Bad
And
situation.
do you tell your supervisor that they're doing the wrong thing? How do
Yeah.
you know they're doing the wrong thing?
Right, well,
I don't know.
They're the supervisor. They should know better.
That's right. So I'm not surprised about this, but changes are coming to Disneyland rides. It's too bad Melissa's not here. And it'll probably happen at Disney World too, but the Southern California park is updating the Peter Pan ride.
Oh no, say it ain't so.
Well, any reason why? You want to take a guess at why?
People are falling out of the cars as they.
No. It's not a safety issue. If you've ever been on the ride and you know the story of the Peter
Yep.
Pan, we got to remove the insensitive racial stereotypes
For
and
the Indians.
caricatures of the indigenous people.
Right. So just take them out.
But that's part of the story.
I know.
Is they're part of the story. So what do you replace them with?
I don't know. We redid Splash Mountain.
Well, that's right. Out in Disneyland, they had a ride called Critter Country. It's being renamed. It started as Bear Country in the 1970s, and and then they changed it to Critter Country. Now that Splash Mountain is gone, and it's going to Disneyland too, it's now becoming Bayou Country.
Bayou.
And that coincides with the opening of Tiano's Bayou Adventure in this coming November in Disneyland, which replaced Splash Mountain.
You know what I'm really sad about though, Joe, about Disneyland? So it's been open since '71, right? I've been there.
Disney World's been
Disney World's '71. I've been there a million times. They're taking
Not
out
sure it's a
the
million, but-
riverboat.
I know. And Tom Sawyer's Island.
They are.
It's all going.
It's all going away. They've drained it.
already
You can
drained?
see the track where the boat goes. I'm like, oh,
You know,
I have never been on that ride.
No?
Never.
The best thing about that ride...
Like every year I go, let's go on the ride. This ride, there, everybody I'm with is like, why? It's the most boring thing in the
Well,
world.
it is...
But someday it's not
but
gonna be
that's why-
here.
But that's why it's relaxing.
Right.
And it also gives you, and I got the picture somewhere, it gives you a very unique picture opportunity to take a view with the Haunted Mansion behind you
Really?
from
Yeah,
the
'cause
top deck of that boat. I said, oh, this is a great perspective. And you can't get this anywhere else in Disney
no,
World.
I'm never going to get one.
And now you're not going to be able to. And I know they're changing it into Cars Land
Yeah.
or something like that, and they're going to do another Villains Land
Yep.
beyond Bayou Adventure now, so that's pretty cool. But as soon as I said Tom Sawyer's Island's going away, I said, Does that mean the boat's going? It has to mean the boat's going away.
So the
And,
free
the river
the
boat's
free
going
floating
away.
boats that would go back and forth, those log boats that
Yeah.
would go back and forth. I've been on those to Tom
Okay,
Sawyer's Island,
yeah.
but had never been on the paddle boat,
Wow.
and now I will never get.
And
on the
now you
paddle
won't
boat.
be able to. So I did it. I mean, yeah. People say, well, yeah, it's boring. Yeah, okay. It doesn't go very fast, and it just went in a circle. But it was 10 minutes of relaxation.
Of not having to run to
You
the
have to
next
run
ride
anywhere.
or stand in line.
Yeah. So that's why I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's like the Hall of Presidents.
Yeah.
Or
And it's air conditioned, which is the other thing.
That's Hall of Presidents, and the other one in Carousel of Progress.
Carousel of Progress.
Man, that's 10 to 15 minutes of sitting there and just
There
relax,
is
comfort.
not a lot of progress happening in that carousel anymore. That's the funny. We get stuck in there once where we actually saw the same scene 6 times.
Oh, it just keeps.
It gets stuck. It's like ink,
Oh,
ink, ink,
no.
ink. Now is the time. Now is the best time. Now is the best time of our lives. Oh, it was painful.
Well, big changes coming to Disney, by the way.
All right. Yeah, they are.
They saw what Universal was doing
Yeah, Universal's got some
with
serious.
their new lands. They said we gotta keep up.
Yep.
And so, and Walt always said, either Disneyland or Disney World, probably Disneyland. It'll never be completed.
Never be completed.
We will always keep changing.
Yeah.
And so, and some people like to change, and some people don't like
Right.
to change. It's just the way it goes.
Right.
All right, that'll do it for the show for today. Thank you very much for listening in. Thanks to Melissa Smith, who came in for the first 3/4 of the show, and we hope she'll be back next week.
Yeah.
Tim, thanks for coming in today.
Joe, thanks for having me, and everybody enjoy the beautiful God-given day out there today.
Very good. This is Joe Callahan. Have a great day, everyone, and stay tuned for Gary Smith and the crew. Do your members at 9:30 here on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. Massachusetts State Auditor Diana DeZolio